Hey y'all, welcome to day 10 of our 21 days of fast and prayer, where we're focusing on Luke 2 verse 52, where we see Jesus growing in wisdom, in stature, and in favor with God and with man. In week 2, we're focusing on growing in godly stature. So we know that you can grow in physical stature, and that means that your body's getting bigger, you're getting stronger, you're growing in age, but you can also grow in godly stature, where we're growing in our knowledge of God, we're growing in our calling, we're continuing to walk in our calling, and we also know that the two don't have to grow at the same pace. One may outgrow the other. So you might be older and stronger before your godly stature increases, or you could be young and have great godly stature. And so we see an example of this with Timothy. And we know that Timothy is young because Paul writes to him in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 12. And he says, "Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." So obviously, Timothy is younger than most of the people that he's leading. And so we know that Paul is encouraging him to continue to grow in his godly stature and not to be concerned about his youthfulness. And again, we see an example of a young person being called and having godly stature beyond what we would see appropriate because they're so young, but God has downloaded into them everything that they need in order to walk into their calling. And the example of this is the prophet Jeremiah. He was called at a young age as well, and he argues with God that he's too young to walk in his calling. But we see in Jeremiah chapter 1 verses 9 and 10 that God downloads into him everything that he needs to know and increases his godly stature. And so God take a look at Jeremiah 1, verse 9. "Then the Lord put out his hands and touched his mouth. And the Lord said to me, Behold, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have set you this day over nations and over kingdoms, to pluck up and to break down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant." So God downloaded into Jeremiah the godly stature that he needed in that time, despite his youthfulness, despite his smaller physical stature. God gave him an increase in godly stature. And so an example in relevant church is just our youth. Seeing our youth growing and leading at such a great capacity is an example of their godly stature increasing beyond their physical stature, beyond their age. And it's so encouraging to see this. And so as we go throughout our fast and prayer, I just want to encourage you to continue praying that God would increase your godly stature. Continue to dive into the word and get to know God on a deeper level so that you can have those one-on-one conversations and he can download into you everything that you need to walk into your calling. And also shout out to our youth. I just want to give you guys honor. You are amazing, and continue to walk in the calling that God has placed in your life. Continue to strive for greater godly stature. Y'all, encouraging you as we continue through our 21-day fast and prayer. This has been so amazing so far, and I just pray that it has been for you.